Hi viewers, this is Luis. Happy to meet you once again in this video. You know the name of my channel. It is English Easy Luis. Please subscribe this channel and make use of my videos so that it will be easy in many ways to understand grammar in a better sense. And in this video, I'm just going to discuss and help you to understand another small grammar item, what is known as sentence pattern. I hope you enjoyed my previous videos. I keep getting some comments. Continue to do that. Inform your friends. And you can raise any doubts. So I am ready to help you. I want to see more of your comments so that I know whether my teaching is okay or whether you will be able to understand, whether you are able to understand what I am doing through these video presentations. So today let us go into the video. And sentence pattern. In English, sentence pattern is one of the most important grammar item that we need to pay attention to. Now, what is this sentence pattern? Sentence pattern, in other words, is nothing but in English, all the sentences are written in a particular methodology, so we call it. Every word that we write in a sentence has got a unique name. And we can identify which word belongs to which parts of speech. And that is the beauty of English, you see. So when we understand the sentence pattern, we are 100% sure that we will be able to write sentences correctly without any mistakes. So in order to write the sentence pattern or identify the pattern of the sentence or different parts of a sentence, we need to understand certain items that are involved in the pattern of the sentence. Now what are they? First of all, we need to know what is a subject. What is a subject? Now you may wonder, sir, what is subject has to do with the sentence pattern? Subject is the most important thing, important item, important element in the sentence for us to understand the concept properly. You know, in my previous videos, you must have understood it clearly. What is a subject? Subject is nothing but the word that is used to do an action in a sentence, and it is known as an agent in a sentence. And it is responsible for an action to be done in a sentence. Now, what are the words that we can use it for subjects? I told you already. If you had forgotten, let me remind you once again. The words like pronouns, subjective pronouns, I, we, you, he, she, they. So I don't want to write it again on the board. So apart from subjective pronouns, there are other parts of speech known as noun. And you can of course classify many nouns, and any one of the nouns can be a subject in a sentence. So therefore, in order to understand the sentence pattern or a pattern of a sentence properly, we must be able to identify the subject first of all. Now let me write a sentence and we can clearly say what is a subject in that sentence there. Now let me write a sentence here. We learn sentence pattern. See, we learn sentence pattern. Now in that What is the subject here? You can easily tell me. The pronoun we is a subject. Now why do you say that this is a subject? Because the word we is responsible for doing the action in the sentence here. And in other words, it is known as an agent, it is the doer of the action. So instead of these subjective pronouns, there can be nouns. And these subjects can be persons, places, things, whatever, depending upon the circumstances, depending upon the situations, the subjects may vary. But make sure it is a pronoun or noun. Alright? So this sentence. The second grammar item that we need to understand the sentence pattern is that verb. See? Verb, of course, I don't have to tell you. What is a verb? It is an action word. It is an action word. Now, can we write a sentence or meaningful sentence in English without a verb? Certainly cannot. And we all know that verb is a backbone of a sentence because it is an action word and that particular word tells what the subject is doing or what the subject does in a sentence. And whenever we think of the verb, immediately our mind should go to what? You can immediately remember what am I trying to convey to you now. When we think of a verb, it is nothing but a tense. So when we talk about tense, there are 12 tenses, we all know that. And any one of those tenses can be utilized or will be written in a sentence, and that is known as a verb. And let me write an example. In fact, let me write the same example that I wrote for the subject. See, we learn sentence pattern now. See, we learn sentence pattern. Well, we already have understood or we already know that we is a subject here. And this is the action word learn. Learn is known as a verb there because this particular word tells what the subject is doing. Clear? So, the verb tells you what the subject does in the sentence. And this is the second most important grammar item that we need to pay attention to when we want to know more about or write sentences with the correct pattern. Alright? Sentence, subject and then verb. Now thirdly, another important factor that we need to pay attention to in English is that what is known as the object. See? Object. Now object is also a noun. Object is also a noun in a sentence. And what is object? What does object mean? Object will tell you what the subject has done or the completion of the action by the subject in the sentence. Alright? So by that word you will understand the meaning of the sentence has come to an end. So we have understood the meaning of a sentence by reading the word what is known as an object. I am in this sentence. So let me write the same sentence again. So we learn sentence pattern. See, we learn sentence pattern. Now we know that we is a subject, learn is a verb, and sentence pattern is an object. Sentence pattern is an object. Now how can we say that this particular word is an object? Very simple. See now, if you ask a question what. Okay, if you ask a question what on the verb that is given in the sentence, the word that comes as an answer to the question what is an object. Let me repeat it again. Get it very clearly, otherwise you will be confused later on. So remember, a word that becomes an answer to the question what that is asked in the verb that is given in the sentence. Now what is your verb in the sentence here? Learn. And your tense is simple present tense. We learn sentence pattern. I said sentence pattern is the object of the sentence. Now let me ask a question what in the verb. See, what do we learn? See, that is the question. What do we learn? We learn sentence pattern. So sentence pattern is the answer to the question what. So therefore this is an object. So remember now, up to here you can call this as SV pattern. SV pattern. And then in this sentence you can call this as SVO pattern, because we have subject, verb, object. Now we come back to another important category in the sentence pattern. There are two different objects. There are two different objects. One is known as indirect object. See, indirect object. Another one is known as direct object. Now, of course, you can call this first, you can call this a second, but it doesn't matter. Remember that there are two objects. One is known as a direct object, another one is known as indirect object. Now, how can we identify that there are two objects in the sentence? Let me write an example. See now. Teacher gave me a pen. This is the sentence. Teacher gave me a pen. Now what is your noun here? What is your subject here? Teacher. So this is your subject. What is your verb here? Gave. This is your verb. Now remember, after this there are two words. Me is there, a pen is there. And me is also an object. Pen is also an object. Now in these two objects, which one is a direct object, which one is an indirect object? Very simple. See now, you read this sentence. Let me cover the word me. Okay? Let me cover this word me, and you read the sentence here. Teacher gave a pen. Again I told you, the word object can answer to the question what when it is asked from the verb that is given in the sentence. Now the verb in this sentence is gave. So what did the teacher give? Teacher gave a pen. So pen is the answer to the question what. Alright? So therefore the word pen directly involves with the action of the subject. Directly involves with the action of the subject, and we get an answer there. Therefore, it is known as the direct object. See? Therefore, it is known as direct object. Let me write it clearly. So, therefore, this is known as direct object. Now, let me cover this word pen here. Let me cover this word pen here. Now, you read the sentence. Teacher gave me. Teacher gave me. Now, you know the subject, you have the verb here and you have the object here. Teacher gave me. You ask a question what on the subject me? You get an answer? No. Teacher gave something. So, but we do not know what did he give or what he gave. But this word function as an object in the sentence. In other words, it indirectly involves with the action of the subject. You get what I mean? The word me here indirectly involves with the action of the subject. Therefore, it is known as the indirect object. Therefore, it is known as the indirect object. To make it more simple, now we know that this was the pattern of SVO. But since we have two objects here, this pattern is known as SVIO-DO. So SVIO-DO. The pattern of the sentence is SVIO-DO. Okay. Now, when we have only one object in the sentence, we don't have to write as direct object because we don't have that necessity here. But then when we have two objects, we need to write one as indirect object, one as direct object. Now for direct object, we ask the question what? For indirect object, you ask the question whom. Whom. See? Whom. So if you ask the question whom on the word, if you get an answer, that particular word is known as an object, but it is an indirect object because it indirectly involves with the action of the subject, so it is indirect object. So remember, a word that indirectly involves with the action of the subject is known as indirect object. A word that directly involves with the action of the subject is known as direct object. Now for direct object, of course, you can see me, his, him, all these words are, you may call it as possessive pronouns and all that you may call it. But let me be very clear. Remember, if a word becomes an answer to the question whom, you can straight away conclude that as an indirect object then. Okay? Is it clear? So we have already seen three sentence pattern already. We have seen SV, we have seen SVO, and we have seen SVIO-DO. So in this video, let me stop from here, and then in another video, I will conclude or I will continue with the rest of the things that we need to learn in a sentence pattern, and we will complete the sentence pattern in the next video. So before I conclude this video, I will remind you again, please subscribe this channel and tell your friends, and it is very clear to you, and you can opt your suggestions and I will help you depending upon the comments that you give. Thank you very much. See you in the next video. Bye.